What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 5 of Not a Sheep Podcast. My name is Matt, and I'm here with my buddy John or Narwhal.
Yep, what's going on, guys? Happy to be back. I'm super excited. Last episode, we had our buddy Blue Lane on, so if you guys haven't listened to that, I definitely recommend checking it out. And then before that, we had a guest named Casman.
Yeah.
If you guys are new around here, what we do is every week we alternate. So this week, it'll just be me and Matt. We'll kind of dive more into music culture, what's going on in the scene, and then the next week we'll have another guest on. So if you guys have any guests that you want to see on the show, let us know. But Matt, there's been some big things happening in the last week.
Yeah.
First of all, something personal to you.
Yeah.
You submitted a verse for the, what's it called? What's the challenge?
Futuristic Cool AF challenge.
Yeah. So do you want to explain to the people listening what it was all about?
Yeah, so Futuristic, if you don't know, is a really dope rapper from Arizona. He did this challenge where he dropped a song called Cool AF, and he put the beat out. And so if you're a rapper, you can rap on the beat, make a video, and submit it on Instagram. And the winner of the whole thing gets to be on his next album coming up.
Yo.
And he's been one of my favorite rappers since before I even started rapping. And so I had to enter the competition. But so me and John actually filmed a video together, and I posted it a few days ago from when we recorded this, and it got a really good response, and he liked it and commented and actually reposted it. And so I'm pretty hyped right now, and I'm hoping for the best when the day comes for when he announces the winner.
Yeah, so it's a month-long challenge, and it ends at the end of this month.
Yes.
And so just for the people who don't know, is the song that people are trying to get on, is that song, like, has he released his verse of that song yet?
Yeah. So the official version came out, and that's like when he announced the challenge. It's Cool AF by Futuristic featuring another guy, and then I think it would probably be like the bonus track on the album.
So it's like a remix of
the remix, because that's like what KSI did for his challenge, for the Poppin' Challenge. But
yeah. What was the process like? Like, what was your approach to this challenge?
Yeah. So this is actually the second challenge I've done in the last few months. I did the Poppin' Challenge by KSI, but for this one, since it's for Futuristic, I figured I had to take a different approach. And a lot of fans of Futuristic know that he likes rapping fast.
Yeah.
And so I kind of instantly knew that everybody was going to be trying to rap as fast as they can.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the actual song, Cool AF, Futuristic doesn't even rap fast on it. He just did his normal thing, and it was super dope. And so I have a couple fast parts in there, but I wanted to make sure I had some other random references in there that would be more that would grab his attention versus just trying to go as fast as I can. And I think one of my biggest strengths as an artist is I mix my own stuff, and I think the production quality behind it sounded good. And I think that kind of is going to help it stand out more than some of the other ones. And it also helps that we have a really dope video that you helped me with.
Yeah, 100%. That's something that I noticed just when he's been posting some submissions that he's liked for the last couple weeks now, and going through the comments of the one that yours was on and the other one, I've seen a lot of stuff about people, I guess, when they submit, don't think that the quality of it matters that much, that it's more about can they spit bars, or what does their sound like. But I think people underestimate if it's mixed really well, it's just gonna overall just be a better product.
For sure. Yeah. And also, here's the thing, if you got to think about it realistically. If that song is he's just gonna take your verse and put it on the song, and you recorded yourself just rapping over the beat playing out loud on your iPhone, he can't really take that and put it on, and he's probably not going to fly you down and record, have you record with him.
Yeah. And it's a lot more work. Even if someone who recorded with their iPhone, if he really likes their verse, he might choose someone else just because it's so much more of a headache to try and get this guy to actually professionally record it and then send it over and have someone else mix it. And
yeah. And another thing I noticed, a lot of guys were kind of taking the approach of you want to make yourself stand out, and you want to relate to the artist, but you also got to look at it you're basically trying out to be the feature on the song. You're not just trying to get him to the verse. And so a lot of people were name dropping Futuristic and trying to put all these cool
these little
lyrics
Easter eggs.
with Easter eggs with his music or his name, which is cool, but I just don't think he, as an artist, would want that on a feature. So I just kind of made it my own thing. I didn't really reference him. I kind of just referenced my own self. And because in my opinion, I think he would like that on the song versus someone saying like, I'm the future, futuristic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that actually, I never thought about that till now, but that makes a lot of sense because as an artist, it's got to be kind of weird if you have a feature from a guy and all they do is like talk about
you. Don't want them to sound like a fan, like on your actual song. I mean, maybe it'd be cool for him, but I don't think he cares that much.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you about. So I showed it to my dad after I finished editing the video. I was like, Dad, you got to watch this. It's sick. And so there's like the lyrics on the screen, which he actually likes because it can, for someone who's not an avid listener of rap, it's hard to follow. But we watched it once, and then he's like, hey, like, let's watch it again. I want to like pay more attention to the lyrics. And you have a lot of references. Like almost every line, there's some reference to something. Yeah. That like, if you're not really in rap, you might not even know what you're talking about at all. Yeah. How much thought goes into when you're writing these verses? Do you think a lot about like, is the artist or are people going to understand that? Or is it kind of like, I'm going to say it because it makes sense to me and it's up to them to understand it?
Yeah. So that's like one thing. Because I really like references when I'm listening to music where I didn't catch it until like the 10th listen. Yeah. And when I was approaching this, it was kind of like I could just have I didn't have a lot of like wordplay, if that makes sense. I didn't have a lot of ones where it's like a double meaning. It was more just like references to cool things that I like. And I know that a lot of the things I reference were things that I think Futuristic also likes. And I think that would help. It would help him relate to it more. But it's just kind of like a tough balance between the two of like, you want them to be able to understand what you're saying, but like as a rapper, I feel like you're way more impressed when it's like a complex meaning or something the average person.
And you don't want to just spoon feed the audience. Like
exactly.
You don't want to like make it so basic to where like everyone gets it right off the bat.
Yeah. And a whole another thing that was kind of a dilemma for me when I started writing is the song's called Cool AF. It's just about being cool. And I'm like, what do I have to talk about that's like that cool? I'm like, I'm just going to talk like, about my life. I'm not going to be like, I'm the coolest, but like, I'm just going to say what maybe could apply, like random little things. But
yeah. Well, so I guess what were your favorite lines of that song, or what parts did you like impress yourself with?
Well, okay. I really liked, I don't know. I talked about some of the stuff that I've wanted to talk about, like, and I haven't really gotten to in a while. Like I'm really young. And so a lot of people always say stuff like, oh, you probably weren't even listening to rap music yet when this came out. And I'm like, no, I was listening to Lil Wayne, but I was like 10 when the Carter 4 came out. The Carter 4 came out.
Yeah. And I mean, and I think it's kind of like you were defending your place in hip hop in the song in a way. Cause it's like, yeah, I'm 19, but like, that doesn't mean you can't learn about it and then go back and listen to the stuff that came out before you were even born. Like,
yeah, it's like everyone always tries to claim like they were there when this dropped, or like they were the number one fan of this artist when their mixtape that came out 4 years before their first album came out. Everyone always claims to that, but it's like, what's wrong with just being a fan of their music if you go back and do the research? But
yeah, and it's like, there's not like there shouldn't be this like hierarchy of like bragging rights of like, oh, well, you didn't listen to it when it came out, but it's like, you can't choose when you were born. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, it's not a choice. It kind of just happened. But yeah. So for those of you who don't know, like a lot of like the music videos Matt does, like I'll film it with him and we'll kind of like co-direct it and like figure it out how we want it to look. And so when I was going through and editing it, and you sent me all the lyrics and I was adding them in, that's kind of for me when I actually realized what the lines mean. Like when I was filming the video, I'm not even listening to the song. I'm just like trying to get cool shots. But then, so when I was editing it, you have a Spike Lee line. Yeah. And what do you say? Like Spike
Lee Do the Right Thing. It's like one of his most famous movies.
Yeah. So I didn't get that till I was editing. I'm like, oh, that's like one of his movies. And then I texted you about this morning. This morning, there's a new music video by this rapper named Buddy, who's pretty popular. And it's for a song called Black 2, I believe. Yeah. And I'm listening to it as I'm working out this morning, and he's like, oh, I'm Spike Lee, I do the right thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like Matt had the exact same line. And I just wanted to like talk, like, is that a common
It's a
thing?
pretty referenced like movie, I would say, in rap music. I'm not like claiming like, wow, I'm like so creative for putting that in my thing, but like
Oh, have
know.
you heard more than that? Like other people reference that movie as well?
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh.
definitely have. Like, I want to say, might not be Futuristic, but someone in like an older song I remember in like 2015 they referenced that. But like,
Yeah.
I've heard a bunch of people reference like Spike Lee movies.
Yeah. But has there been like, do you remember any time where there's been drama or like, you know, someone stealing someone's line in the music scene?
It's really weird. No one ever really complains about like a line like that if it's like a reference, because I've heard so many like, I remember like when this year started, like 2020, I got that 2020 vision, like stupid lines like that. But it's people freak out about like flow. And that's something that's really dumb to me because people use the same flow all the time. Like when Drake dropped More Life, he had a song that one of the parts kind of sounded like Look at Me by X.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't really at all.
Yeah.
And then everyone was saying like, oh, Drake stole X's flow. And then there was like drama between them. And then
Yeah.
I don't know.
And there's only a limited number of flows.
There's
you
only
can
so
do.
many like patterns you can put your words in, especially when certain songs are trending, the tempo of that song, like how fast it goes, is usually a really like that kind of sets the trend for what sound is popular right now.
Yeah.
And so when rappers aren't that creative, they kind of start to use the same flow over and over. There's ways you can like use the same flow and make it creative and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't think it should be too much of a conversation because it's the only guy out there that's really like inventing new flows is Eminem, and he's the one that gets like crapped on the most for sounding weird.
Bro, I don't get that. Like, I don't get the Eminem hate. Does that make sense to you? Because he's one of the greatest of all time. There's no doubt about that. But like, I feel like in the last few years in particular, there's this whole uprising of like just hating on him for really no reason. I don't really understand where they're coming from.
I think it's a mix of like mob mentality of like, oh, like everyone's hating on Eminem, like now we hate Eminem.
Yeah.
But I will say I don't think his new music is like anywhere near his old stuff, but there's some people that are, I don't know. It's like they hadn't even heard his old stuff because they complain about stuff that was in his like great music. You know what I mean? And they're like, Eminem hates on too many young rappers. I'm like, he's been hating everybody in all of his music. Why do you care about it now?
That's so true, bro. That's like,
you just don't think about it. Like, Real Slim Shady, is that the one where he's like, Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his rap to sell records? Well, I do, so F him and F you too. It's like he's calling out another rapper. It's like if he right now was like, Drake doesn't have to rap fast to sell songs, like, but I do, so F him, everyone would freak out.
Yeah. I know. It's like Eminem has had this mentality of just being angry and aggressive and shitting on people for as long as like any album you listen to. There's some of that.
And at least now he's like healthy and off drugs. And he's just making music, man.
Yeah. Well, before we dive too deep into this episode, let's do what we like to do every week and talk about what we've been listening to over the last week or so, because our playlists change a lot and we like to just kind of, I don't know, give you guys some artists that maybe you never heard of or just some songs to add to your playlist. So Matt, what have you been listening to?
Okay, so I think I've said this for the last like 2 episodes, but for some reason, Black Bear is like one of my favorite artists right now. He just dropped a new project with 3 new songs and a couple old singles. But I've also been listening to that Buddy song that you sent me today has been like on repeat. And then I don't know how to say it. Is it Spaghetti? Is that how you...
Yeah, I assume it's Spaghetti.
It's the new like Smino, Jid, and Kenny Beats song. I think is super dope. And then besides that, kind of a lot of random stuff. Futuristic has a newer song called IOFWR, which I think is pretty dope. It's on the new album that's coming out.
What does that mean? IOFWR?
I only F with rappers.
Oh, okay.
That's like cool. A funny, good song. But what about you?
Futuristic is one of the few artists that can do like funny music, like kind of joke, like not parody songs.
But he doesn't like take like any of the skill out of it to do those. Like,
yeah.
They're still good songs.
And like there's a bunch of quote unquote YouTube rappers who do stuff like that where it's like, oh, like rapping at McDonald's or like whatever.
Yeah.
But Futuristic can do both, where he can have a song that's like a funny song, but it still can be on a project that's like a serious project.
Exactly.
And he does it well.
Yeah. That's super dope.
So I'm really excited because 2 of my favorite artists both dropped albums last week around the same time. So Oliver Tree, who, by the way, we just got a poster of him. We're going to put it in the background somewhere. We have a bunch of new posters that we're going to fill up the studio space. It's going to look sick. But yeah, so Oliver Tree dropped his album that has been delayed because of COVID. He finally dropped it. He was supposed to go on tour and drop it right when COVID hit the worst, but he delayed it. So I'm really excited about that. I don't really have a favorite song yet because I don't like to say a favorite song until I've listened to it like 7 or 8 times.
For sure, yeah.
You know? But I highly recommend you guys check it out. There's like no skips on it for me yet. Also, one of my favorite artists of the last couple years, his name is Cal. I thought it was Scrubby, but I think it's Cal Scrooby.
Oh, really?
Because he references his name in a song and he says Scrooby.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God, maybe I don't even know how to say his name. But yeah, so it's called While You Were Sleeping, and it's probably one of my favorite albums of the year so far. From what I understand about him, I think his story is something like he was signed to like a big record label.
Yeah.
And kind of like didn't like.
That's what it sounded like on I think it was the previous album.
Yeah. And so he was like with some label and didn't like how they're controlling him and trying to get them to do things they don't want to do. So now he's independent, and his last album was called Unsigned. This one's called While You Were Sleeping, and I don't know. I just highly recommend it. It's awesome. And Joey Badass dropped a couple songs.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, and then just Black Bear. But that's about it, guys. Let us know what you've been listening to. Leave a comment.
Disclaimer, J. Cole just dropped 2 songs like 30 minutes ago, and we started recording, so we haven't heard them yet. Yeah. But I'm assuming that'll also be what we're listening to for the next week. Yeah.
Anything J. Cole drops, I'll listen to it for I've never listened to a J. Cole song and been like, I don't like this.
Exactly. Yeah. Even the ones where I'm like, I might be like, well, it's not up to like his standard of like greatness, but like I still end up listening to it like every day.
Yeah. Cool. Well, on the topic of like specific songs and albums, I think this would be a good time to talk about the Mike Posner album called Keep Going. Mm-hmm. That if you guys are like, if this is your first time listening or you haven't listened to episode 3 yet, on episode 3, we kind of started this new segment where basically it's going to be throwback album reviews. So I chose an album from 2019, and it's called Keep Going by Mike Posner. And how it works is the following week, we decided to push it to 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We're going to have enough time to listen to it all, get our thoughts, and then we're just going to kind of talk about it, our thoughts on it, our favorite song, all that stuff. And so at the end of the episode today or after this, Matt will choose one, and then we'll do that next week or the week after that. So Matt, what did you think? Because this is your first time really getting into Mike Posner, right?
Yeah, I wasn't really familiar with. I had heard a couple of the songs he did with Black Bear, and then I heard his like. Obviously, he has that one really big song he did.
I Took a Pill in Ibiza.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But this was like I was not expecting this at all. I thought it was super interesting. On Apple Music, it's listed as spoken word, and I didn't realize that when I started listening to it. But now it kind of makes more sense. Like the way he sings is kind of more like. It's like he's talking, but with like a little bit of melody in it.
Yeah, but that's interesting. He actually, sorry, I didn't cut you off, but he actually has a whole album that's literal spoken word, where it's like his album, I think before this one, was like literally like him. It's like poetry.
Yeah,
like I don't even know if there was beats. I don't remember, but
gotcha. But yeah, I thought the production was like really, really cool. That was like my favorite part of it, and because it's kind of all over the place from like. More chill like singing songs. I don't know how to describe it, but then there's like DJ Premier like produced one of the beats on it, and the features are also kind of all over the place. There's like Wiz Khalifa, Logic, Talib Kweli, but I don't know, I thought it was super cool. My favorite song is probably like the first actual song, Come Home.
Yeah,
but I also really liked Legacy, the one with Talib Kweli, and Slow It Down and Amen. Is Amen the one you were talking about? Yeah, that's what I thought.
When you say you really like the production, mm-hmm. for the people who don't make music, like what exactly are you looking for when you judge if the production is well done?
Well, I just like that it was unique and good. I don't know. That's a really bad way to describe it, but I don't know, because it's kind of a genre I'm not totally familiar with, and I haven't listened to a lot of singers like him. The singers I gravitate towards. I don't know, they kind of have a more similar voice to each other. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, like I like Black Bear. I like Pink Sweats. I like Justin Bieber's new stuff. But like, I don't know. He has a more like raspy voice, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Anderson .Paak.
Oh,
I don't know if you listen to him.
I've never listened to him, but I know the name, and I'm familiar with it, with like the music. I just have never really got into it.
Yeah, on the song Noah's Ark, that was the one that I was kind of like, he has a similar like voice, I guess. But
yeah, Mike Posner, his vocal range is pretty crazy to me, because I've heard he does have like a very high pitched and raspy voice when he's just talking, but then there's other times when he can really switch it up, like when he's singing. So also, by the way, if we ever do these and like I tell you to listen to an album and you just hate it, you could just be honest. Like I think most of our music picks are like, I trust Matt and my judgment, but I know there will be a time where I'm like, yo, you got to listen to this album, and you're going to be like, I hated every song.
I will say it definitely isn't like my style, but there was like a lot of things I respected about it. Like, I just don't know if it's like, because I love deep music, but it just sounded a little bit too kind of like,
too soft?
Not too soft. I like soft music, but like, I don't know. I wasn't really relating to what he was saying a whole lot, but like I liked what he was trying to say.
Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I liked about this album that stood out to me is usually when albums have like intermissions or little skits, I don't like them. They bother me because it's like once you hear them once, you don't really want to hear them again.
Yeah.
But in this album, he has probably 3 or 4 different like, I guess, skits sort of, where it's like voicemails from different people and stuff. And I actually thought they added to it as a whole. Like,
I think they did too. Like, I thought it was cool because like Diddy was the first one, and then he had like his mom on one of them,
and then he had Steven Tyler, and just like a variety. And I think it was cool because, I mean, I don't know this, when artists do like recordings of phone calls and stuff, are they ever like real, or are they usually all staged for the song?
I don't know, because one of the artists I listened to had one that it sounded totally real, and it was like his grandma calling him, and then he like said it like a couple of years later. He's like, oh, that was actually me, and I just like made my voice sound like it. And I was like, it totally threw me off, because it was like, it totally just sounds like a grandma.
Yeah,
but like these sounded real. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but then again,
it'd be kind of weird, like bringing them all in the studio and be like, all right, give me advice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because like the mom is having like leaving this really deep message. It'd be weird to be like, hey mom, can you come in and just like kind of make something up about.
But here's the real question: do people leave voicemails nowadays?
That's true.
I don't.
Yeah. That's true, dude. I don't even know the last time I've left or received a voicemail from anyone. But yeah, so like I mentioned before, the song called Amen is the first song I ever cried to. And it's powerful because like there's 2 separate stories going on in the same song.
Yeah.
And so like the first half of the song is about this fan that he had that would tweet at him like every single day, was like a super fan basically. And she ended up dying. And he was just talking about how hard that hit him, and how like a lot of artists, you might think that like it's just some random fan, like they don't even know your name or whatever, but the message to me seemed like these fans have a lot more impact on the artist than you think they do.
Yeah, I thought that was a super cool song.
And then the second half of that song, he like tells the story of his sister basically calling him and like saying that she's gay, and like how thrown off he was, and how she's like such a great person, and it was also about how like she does all these things to make the world a better place, and she never gets any recognition. And then he's this artist who makes songs about, in his mind, kind of like bullshit songs, and he gets all this recognition and wins Grammys and stuff. And
yeah,
I just really loved the message of like, the whole album is all about like realizing what's important and trying to like break away from the stuff that's not.
Yeah, I thought it was super dope.
Overall, highly recommend the album. Obviously not going to talk too much more about it. I think it's better if you just go listen to it for yourself. But moving on here.
Logic's
like retiring?
Is this okay? So if you've been a fan of Logic, you know that in 2017 he announced that like he's got one more album and then he's done. Since then he's dropped like 4 albums. But
wait, did he actually officially like say that?
I think he said on Everybody, which was like the 2017 album, that after that he's like, I'm retiring, or I'm gonna make one more album and retire. And then he said like it's gonna be called Ultra 85. That album has never came out, but then since then he dropped like Bobby Tarantino 2, Supermarket, Young Sinatra 4, and then what was the other one with like the one with like Eminem on it? I don't remember. It was last year's album.
Oh, the one with Homicide?
Yeah, whichever album that was.
Yeah, I forget, but he's
But
had a lot.
he's had a lot of, that's a lot of albums for like a 3-year span. But
Yeah.
then he just announced that he's got his album No Pressure coming out on Friday, which is in like 2 days. So it'll already be out by now.
Yeah.
But he announced that when that drops, he's officially retiring. And I think he actually is retiring. I think that doesn't mean he's going to be, I think he's still going to be making music, but like he might step down as like the artist Logic, if that makes sense.
So, but what do you mean? So if he steps down as Logic,
Well,
but like if he still wants to release a song, would
So-
it be like...
first off, if you don't know, like he just finally announced like to the world like who his, like he has a new wife now and like a kid.
Mhm.
And so that's what makes me think he actually is not going to like release music for a while. But and he also just signed that deal with Twitch for like, I don't know, like a whole lot of money.
They
But,
said 7 figures, so
yeah,
I would have guessed it's multiple millions.
he must be out of his like record deal. And that might be why he was like pumping out albums, because they're not usually by year, they're by like how many albums you do.
Oh.
And so maybe he's just trying to get that out of the way so he can retire. But I don't know. And then I think he's just gonna drop the album and then do Twitch. Is he just gonna game and like
yeah.
maybe
so-
show new music on it?
Yeah, I mean, we've always known, if you've been a fan of Logic, you know he's always talked about how he's a nerd and he loves to game. And
Yeah.
there a while back, a couple years ago, he started like a gaming YouTube channel where he would do like playthroughs and stuff. And I mean, eventually he stopped posting on there, but like everyone's known he's into gaming, so I'm not surprised at all. But like, so he said he's going to be streaming a lot. He signed a deal, which means he's legally going to have to stream a certain
Yeah.
amount. So like, at least for a year, he's going to be streaming all the time on Twitch, which will be really cool because I feel like you'll get to know him way better than you ever could just like listening to his music.
For sure, yeah.
But it does seem weird to me whenever an artist says they're going to retire, because it seems like almost always
They never
they don't
do.
really retire.
I
But
feel like I don't feel like artists ever retire. Like I feel like they just
Yeah.
kind of get older and slowly drop less music, and then when they want to, they might drop an album after 10 years.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Why do you have to put it on yourself like I'm retiring?
yeah, and as an artist, like we're both artists ourselves, I could never imagine just because he's in his 30s, early 30s probably.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine being like that young and just being like, I'm done with music forever, peace out, and just like your biggest passion, you're just never gonna do it again. Like
I don't
I
don't know
highly
what it
doubt
is.
that. But yeah, I think you're right when you say it's probably he's just gonna. I think saying you're retiring just takes all the pressure away from feeling like you need to put out stuff.
Pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure anymore. But like a Hobson.
Mm-hmm. He announced he was retiring like back in the day. I
Yeah,
remember.
he's done it multiple times, and then he drops music later. So I think it might just be one of those things where he's like, he's at the point where he can drop music on his own terms when he
Yeah.
feels like it. Like Dr. Dre, very famous producer. He hasn't released anything in a while, but
Mhm.
I guarantee he's always working
Oh
on
yeah.
music.
He's also doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I don't know if Logic would still be doing stuff, but I remember like a couple of years ago he said like, oh yeah, I have 5 unreleased albums ready to go, and then since then he's probably dropped like 2 or 3, but like that means he has like an album or 2 besides this one that's just sitting somewhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's crazy. It would be insane though if he just never drops music ever again.
Yeah, it'd be insane, but it's like, I mean, who's that gonna please? Like I guess probably him, but
Yeah.
maybe he'll be happy. But because
Yeah.
his last album was like all about being bullied by social media, which is like, it's a good thing to talk about, like the negatives of social media. But it gets to a point when you're an artist where it's like you're the person in control. Like a lot of people kind of see it as like, how do you let it get to yourself so much? But I'm not in that position, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. It would suck to be like locked into a contract where you have to put out an album and
Yeah.
you're like not ready or you don't want to.
But I feel like if you're Logic, you could totally go independent. Like Tory Lanez is doing that now. He's going independent. But I don't know why he's just deciding to I don't know, because I don't know what's going on in his life. But I don't know. We'll see what he does with the Twitch thing.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would bet he takes 4 or 5 years away, streams for a bit, but then eventually his kid will grow up and because he said he's retiring because he wants to spend time with his kid.
Yeah.
There's going to come a point where he's like, I don't need to spend all day every day with my kid anymore. He's 8 years old.
Yeah, he'll be in school, and that gives you 8 hours to do what you want if you're Logic. But he was also talking about writing another novel and writing movies, and I think he said J.J. Abrams is directing his movie.
Whoa, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've read his book, Supermarket.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
What did you think of it?
I mean, it kind of reminded me of his music, where it's it's good. It's I liked it. It was a good read, but there was a lot of I haven't even read that many books, and you can just tell that there's a lot of rip-offs of other stories kind of in it.
In what sense?
It's basically a love book with a Fight Club twist.
Okay.
So you kind of have to read it to understand, but it's very it was interesting. I really liked it, and I really liked that album Supermarket because it was the most unique album I feel like Logic's ever made.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It wasn't the most unique book, and I have a couple other friends that read it, and they all said the same thing.
Yeah. Did you feel when you were reading it, could you tell this is a rapper trying to write a book, not an author writing a book?
I could tell it was Logic. I'm familiar enough with him where it sounded like it was written by him, or I guess it had that tone, but it didn't sound like a stereotypical rapper writing a book.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and he's also obviously a big Tarantino fan, and it kind of seemed like the way I pictured the story in my head kind of reminded me of a Tarantino movie a little bit.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I really liked his Supermarket album. A lot of his diehard fans were furious with that album because they're we don't want Logic to sing, we want Logic to rap.
I feel the average age of a Logic listener is probably no older than 14, and they probably, if that album came out when I was 14, I wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah, but now that we're older and can appreciate it, it's actually probably my favorite album of his since The Incredible True Story.
He has Mac DeMarco producing some of the songs. I thought that was super dope. Artistically.
Yeah. That's all we really got to say about Logic. By the time this episode's out, his album is out, so we'll definitely be
He'll be retired by then.
Yeah. We'll be talking about it on our Instagram story. By the way, this is a good time to remind you guys, you should follow us on Instagram at NAS Podcast.
Yep.
Also, you should leave a review on the Apple Podcast app.
Yes, please do that.
It takes you 20 seconds. You just search Not a Sheep, or if you're already listening on here, you just scroll to the bottom.
Give 5 stars, and you can write potatoes. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. Just rate us 5 stars. It helps us out way more than you guys think. So, all right, moving on here. Juice WRLD. We talked about his album 2 weeks ago. We both liked it quite a bit, and then last week I saw on Twitter that they changed one of his songs.
Yeah.
And I think which song was it?
It's the last song before the little outro skit. It's Man of the Year.
Yeah.
And that was the one I really liked. So I listened to it the night it came out, just once through, and that was my favorite. And then I waited, and then I listened to it again and had heard that song got changed. And I hadn't heard it enough to really notice the change. I don't know did they change the verse or something like that?
I don't see. That's the thing. I think we'd have to look it up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find the original one on YouTube. Probably.
Oh, so there is a new verse. Okay.
There's
so
a whole new
there was
verse.
lyrics that were changed.
Oh.
Okay, that's different. I hadn't heard the song enough to even notice that. But it says the new verse goes, they say life's a puzzle, I'm gonna piece it together, but from the way I'm moving, I'll probably be piecing forever. I don't know. I'd have to read the whole verse, but
yeah. But is it only Spotify or Apple Music too?
I guess it's everything.
Oh,
I don't know how they can just change stuff like that, but I guess.
But we were talking about that the other week, how Kanye has done that in the past.
Yeah,
so.
That's what it made me think of is but this is different because Kanye was changing stuff, but they would have to re-upload it, which is how you would think they would do it, and that was what caused it to all the sales got
Oh,
confusing.
they would re-upload the entire project?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't remember too well, but I know that they did that for the sales. Like they didn't count the first time it went up sales, which is like where it gets the majority of the sales and the listens. But obviously they're probably not even going to think about it for this because it was like a slight change on one song. But that's so weird why they would even do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
do you think it's a tactic to like draw attention and do exactly what we're doing now?
I doubt it. I don't know. I bet somebody close to Juice was probably like that. I bet before they even released it, there was some debates like, oh, he wouldn't want it this way. He would want this version. They probably had both versions.
Why did they wait till it was out there? You think they would have like, maybe he recorded it in two separate places and like they had that version and didn't know that other one existed, but I don't know. That's so weird.
It could have been a whole marketing stunt, but I feel like that's kind of like messed up, especially if someone's dead.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't think, like I said before, I don't think it's disrespectful at all to release music of a dead artist.
Yeah.
But when you like, if they're tweaking stuff and changing stuff, that's different. That's kind of messed up. But
yeah, I don't know. It's I agree with you. I think it's crazy to say that the new version is infinitely worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Do you know when Uzi dropped his album? I think it was the first song. I remember there was like a leaked version on YouTube where it was like a little bit higher pitch.
Oh, yeah.
And then when this one came out and it was like the actual pitch, I remember everyone freaked out and was like, this sucks. Like, and then it was the same kind of thing. Like people would look up the original on YouTube and that got like a bunch of plays. And that's like, I don't know if that's like, it's literally just the same song, but like one or two like semitones up.
Yeah, like if you never heard the leaked version, you never would have cared.
I hadn't heard the leaked version, didn't care. But like, I don't know. I think it's funny how like, that's just like how it works when you like become so attached to something. Cause like when an artist like that leaks a song, it's like, it takes a whole new like life of its own for the fans and they like hold on to it and they like can't wait for it to actually drop. That was the same thing with like Blueberry Faygo, I think.
Yeah.
The Lil Mosey song. But I don't know. It's so weird to me how like that can cause like such panic.
Yeah, it is interesting. The whole culture behind a leaked song. There's been so many leaked Kanye songs and Drake songs that they have so much hype because they're leaked and unreleased. Whereas I don't think people would like them nearly as much if the songs were just released as a part of like a normal project.
I agree, but I also think it kind of sucks because like the leak songs, if it's like a lot of artists I remember Ski Mask like posted the song, like a clip of him playing what's like Foot Fungus, which is like one of his bigger songs. Then when it came out, like it was a big deal, but like, and they kind of use that as a marketing tactic. Like Lil Nas does that. He'll post little snippets of his songs and it's like really good. Like it helps him a lot.
Yeah.
But someone like, if a Kendrick song got leaked, it would never come out. Like they see it as like, all right, now I got to make a new one.
Why is that?
I don't know, but like there's rarely, I don't think there's ever been like a J. Cole or Kendrick song that got leaked and still came out.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because like for Lil Nas, it's like it's probably like intentionally
it's a really good,
linking
yeah,
it. It's
like
just a marketing thing.
When he made Panini, his producers Take a Day Trip. They're these super dope like producer group, but like I remember the producer was saying like while we were making the song, like we hadn't even done the second verse, he posted a clip of it and it was like going viral and it's like all like everyone was talking about it while they were still working on the song and it wasn't done yet.
Yeah, but then do you think it's just the different type of artists, the J. Cole and the Kendricks just feel like it's like impure or something if it gets leaked?
That's how it seems to me. I don't know what I would think if I was that artist and my song got leaked. Because it's like usually with the hit songs that get leaked, it's obviously good because it turned out to be a hit, but it's like that kind of style of a song.
Yeah.
But like, I guess like a J. Cole or a Kendrick, but maybe it's something to do with like, if a Kendrick song got leaked, there probably wasn't a whole lot of like security on it and was kind of getting passed around and maybe it like wasn't going to be released anyways.
Oh, I see.
Because you know how if you go on YouTube, you'll see like a leaked Kanye song with like Drake and it's like, it actually is like something you've never heard before, but like I don't know, it just doesn't look as official.
Yeah, and you
kind of assume it's fake.
Yeah, and maybe it was one of those things where like they were kind of almost like goofing around or just like recorded something not very seriously.
Well, like, did you ever hear the Eminem Joyner Lucas song, like "If I Were Gay" or something like that?
Was that cake? Can we talk about that? So for those of you who don't,
that's
know,
a real like that was actually Joyner and Eminem. Like, yeah,
okay,
but I don't think it's ever gonna come out. I think it was probably like they probably made like 5 songs together
Yeah.
And like Lucky You was one of them, and then that was probably one of the other ones.
Yeah.
And that one got leaked, but
So for those who don't know, this was like sometime last year, right?
yeah, something like that.
This song, like I woke up to all these texts like, yo, is Eminem gay or something? And I was like, what? And then there was a link to this YouTube video, and it was Joyner and Eminem, and it was called If I Were Gay, right?
Yeah, or maybe it's like What If I Was Gay or something like that. And it's a really serious song. Like you would think Eminem, if like it was like a really personal and serious song about like they kind of like talk about all these insecurities, and then it ends with like What If I Was Gay.
So what is
What
the
if I were to
overall
tell
message of the song? I don't even remember it.
I don't really know how to describe it, but I don't know. To me,
is it like to defend like the gay community?
I don't think they were bashing the gay community in any way, but I don't think it was like meant to be like a song for the gay community. I think it was, I don't know, it was just like seems like an interest. I don't know how to describe it, dude.
Yeah, I guess if you guys want to look it up, you can go listen to it. I just haven't heard it in so long. I don't even really remember what it was about. But isn't there a bunch of rumors that Eminem is gay?
Well, he's kind of always like hinted at that, and then in like the movie The Interview, he like came out as gay, like in the movie. But
yeah, but we still don't really know if it's legit or if it's like for the memes or.
He's had a wife. I'm assuming he likes women. He might be bisexual, but who knows?
Yeah, I know, dude. That scene in The Interview is so funny. That's got to be one of like the best opening scenes to like a comedy movie. It's just Eminem. He's like, "I'm gay,"
and they're like, "Eminem's gay."
Oh, I love that movie. All right, well, moving on. Before we wrap up the show, we like to do some segments every week. So
we got a new one.
Yeah, we got this idea to do guilty pleasure music.
Yeah, so I kind of got this idea because I've been listening to Black Bear. Not that like I'm ashamed to be listening to Black Bear, but he's just an artist that like a month ago wasn't even on my radar. Like I knew who he was, but I didn't have a great first impression. So the fact that he's now like one of my favorite artists is interesting to me, and it made me think about what other artists do I love that most people would either think that's weird, they wouldn't expect it, or maybe I'm a little ashamed to be a fan of them.
Yeah. Now, but see, what really defines guilty pleasure? Because it's hard. Because to me, like I listen to Black Bear, but I would never consider him in like an artist that I would be like ashamed of listening to. Because he's like I think he's a talented artist, but yeah, I could see how like for you maybe. Like for your style or like what people expect you to listen to, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you listen to Black Bear.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's kind of what I was more referring to. But there's some artists that
you're just flat out ashamed.
Okay, none of these. Okay. The only artists on here I would say I'm ashamed that I wrote down. I wrote 100 gecs just because why not?
Okay.
But the rest of these, I don't have any sort of like shame in the fact that I'm a fan of them. But I know a lot of people that would be ashamed
of
and
you.
Of me for being a fan of them. First one I'm gonna mention is our boy right here. We got NF. Yeah. So I think NF is dope. I don't think, in my opinion, he's like a top tier rapper when it comes to like skill. A lot of people that are a fan of him think he's like the GOAT. They think he's #1 rapper in the world. I think he's a really good artist, and I think the music he makes that's like meaningful is like he has a really good songwriting ability that not a lot of artists have, where he's able to connect with his fans. And I don't think you can hate on that, no matter what your opinion on his music is.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Like why do you think he's a really good songwriter and not necessarily like a top tier rapper? Like what?
Well, so a lot of people in like the lane of rap I'm trying to get in confuse rapping fast. There's nothing wrong with rapping fast, first off, but they confuse rapping fast with rapping well. Mm-hmm. And NF has a really good delivery and he raps fast, but a lot of the times he's using like a rhyme scheme that's been done over like a million times. Like, I got the remedy, this is the recipe, da-da-da-da-da-me, like that kind of stuff. And I think there's times when he does it really well and it fits really well for the mood of the song. Like on the song The Search, I think that's like a really good rap song. But sometimes even like, on that song, he literally used the lyrical miracle spiritual like lyric setup and like
so he's not very like revolutionary.
Yeah, so like the things that I like about NF would be like a song like My Stress Changes, even like Time, that's like one of his bigger hit songs. Like I like those kinds of songs, but the ones I don't really like are like Paid My Dues, which is like his most recent one. I remember when that came out, I just like wasn't very impressed because to me, he always has like 4 songs on every album where it's just like the same exact rap song. It's just him saying, just like, this is my struggle. I made it to the top. I don't like myself.
He literally has a song called Hate Myself.
Yeah, I think that's a good song though.
I like that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I went to NF's concert. I consider myself an NF fan. I'm not really ashamed to say that, but in like rap, you can't really claim to be like an NF fan without getting like hated on.
Yeah, it's weird. And but I think that's one of the big differences between someone who just likes listening to rap music and someone who's like a hardcore hip hop
purist.
Because it's like, to the average listener, it's like, oh yeah, NF's amazing. Like, how can you not tell? Like, listen to anything. He's a beast. But then if you really like dive in,
and I don't think that should ever make you like, well, NF isn't the best rapper, so like I can't listen to him, because it's like by that standard, you can't listen to any music outside of rap music, which is just not right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think and with any artist, like it's not like whether or not you like them means you like every single song they make.
Yeah.
It's like I liked probably 80% of the songs on his last album, and I consider that like a really good album, but there was like a few songs that I disliked. That's not a bad thing.
And there's like this cult mentality that if you like an artist, you have to like everything they do, and if you don't, if you generally dislike an artist, you can never
them.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, I actually like that song.
Yeah, people just come in with like preconceived like opinions, and they can never give like a genuine review, I feel like.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
Well, my first guilty pleasure artist is Kodak Black.
Kodak.
Now, listen, if you like lyrical hip hop and you like the passion and the emotion and storytelling behind the music, then Kodak is not the artist for you. Like, and I go into his music knowing I'm not trying to like learn or hear something important. I'm just trying to like bob my head or like work out hard and just like get hyped. And
yeah.
I don't even know what half the songs are about, to be totally honest with you, but I
Kodak.
Yeah, but like that's not what I listen to Kodak for. And I hate when people are like, Kodak sucks, because it's like, I feel like to say someone is like a bad artist, they have to be a particular type of bad to be considered like actually, like, I think Kodak doesn't have the most very meaningful music.
Yeah.
But I still think he's good at what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's like certain artists where they like, I have to make a song about this and it has to be this good of lyrics, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's all about like creating a feeling for the listener. And if you can do that, like that's all that matters.
Yeah. And so I guess if you're by the standard of like, oh, does it have a message? Then I guess in that context, yes, he's bad. But like, but is it fun to listen to? And do you like the beat? For me, in that context, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So
I listen to Kodak a lot, but every time, like if I play it in the car, any of my friends are like, dude, turn it off. Like I can't stand him.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But all right, what's next?
Okay, my next artist, I got Hopsin. Similar to NF. If you like Hopsin okay, actually not similar to NF. First off, I think Hopsin is a really good rapper. Like I think he's like, he kind of gets the same criticism that like Eminem gets for being like all about, oh, I have to be the best rapper, blah blah blah. Like all the new music sucks. So he gets criticized for saying that kind of stuff. But I don't know, with Hopsin, he's just like he's been labeled as like the head of like corny rappers.
Yeah, like as soon as someone says they like Hopsin, you're like discredited because it's like, oh, like you're corny.
Yeah, and once again, I like Hopsin. Doesn't mean I like every single song he's ever made. He's made some pretty bad songs.
Yeah,
like one of the singles he made was, have you heard the song Happy Ending?
Yeah,
it got him like kicked off of YouTube or something like that, or for a while.
Bro, he is one of the artists that can go so drastically from like one of the best songs I've heard in a while to like just a terrible song.
And I think with a lot of these artists that like, when you think of Hopsin, people and NF, the people that aren't fans of them just think, oh, it's just another guy like rapping as fast as they can, saying that they're better than everyone, don't really have anything to say. But if you go to their like more deep, meaningful songs on their albums, like those are the songs that I always end up connecting with them as artists.
Yeah, like Hopsin, if you just see him from the surface, you see him as like the ill mind of Hopsin guy, where if you don't know, he has this series of songs called Ill Mind of Hobson, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 7 now.
I think there's 9 actually.
9?
Yeah.
And like he kind of, that's how he blew up back in the day. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember Ill Mind 4 was like his, 4 and 5 were both huge, and then he's had some really controversial ones, but like I think people think that, oh, it's the guy that did the Ill Mind songs.
Yeah.
Which like, and if you don't like a certain song, you're just going to hate him. But like he, in one of his albums, like it's a really meaningful album. He talks about like his relationship with like.
Is this the, what's it called? No Shame from like 2017?
Yeah.
I love that album.
He's talking about like, oh, like, you know, he has a kid with a lady that like doesn't like hates him.
He got
like,
into legal trouble with, and now he like can't go, like he's banned from the country of Australia, which is where they live.
Yeah, and so he like can't see this kid, and it's like a really powerful
Mm-hmm.
message to the whole album, really. And if you actually go listen to it, I feel like you'll have more respect for him.
Yeah, and if you're not into that kind of rap, you probably won't like it no matter what. But I don't know. I just don't like when people label any artist with like, oh, they just make this one song over and over again, which some artists do, but
Yeah,
I don't think either of them are that kind of guy. So what's your next artist?
Gucci Mane.
Gucci Mane.
Now, he's literally one of those guys where like I feel like it's just I don't even notice if it's a different song. To me, it's like if it's a Gucci Mane song, it's
Well,
the Gucci Mane
doesn't
song.
Gucci Mane have like 30 albums?
No, he has like 110 albums. Dude, I'll look this up right now. Gucci Mane has the most albums out of anyone you will ever see. He dropped,
What?
he has 74 mixtapes. And like as far as I'm aware, most of these are available. Like if you go on his Spotify, you can go to like albums and projects or whatever that tab is and just scroll and scroll and scroll. So he has 74 mixtapes, 84 singles, including 46 as a featured artist, 10 promotional singles. So he technically has 14 studio albums,
Okay.
but then 74 mixtapes, which to a lot of people are still an album.
Yeah. I'm going to go to his Apple Music right now and see what's available if it loads. But yeah, that's just crazy. That's like, how does one person physically make that much
Yeah.
music in a lifetime?
Dude, I swear.
He was in jail for a lot of his career too, wasn't he?
I don't know about that, but
Look, these are his albums I'm
Yeah,
scrolling through.
he's
This is
just-
like,
there's a whole page. You can just keep
oh
scrolling.
my gosh, that's insane. The only other artist I've seen that's like that is Russ, but that's just because he has so many singles. These are his albums.
dude. There's like 20 songs. I honestly think like it's got to be one of those things where like either it's a ghostwriter and he doesn't even care if it's good or not. Like I think Gucci Mane, just from the sheer number of albums, he has to have very low standards for.
Well, he
what
probably just doesn't cut songs. The only artist I can think of that could, if what they say about Juice WRLD is true, that he literally goes in the booth in 3 minutes, will record a whole song and it's a hit.
Yeah.
That's the only potential way I could see that happening. But I don't
But
know.
the difference is that Gucci Mane just releases everything.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, Juice WRLD's only had, if you include his last album, he had like a mixtape, then he had the Goodbye and Good Riddance, and then he had the Death Race for Love, and then this new album. That's 4.
Yeah.
And
then Gucci has
but
74.
74. But apparently Juice WRLD has like over 1,000 songs like
Yeah.
that could be dropped at any moment. We'll see.
So yeah, Gucci Mane, like I don't, like I said, it's similar to Kodak. It's not very meaningful. It's just sometimes I like to have his music on when I'm working out, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's Gucci Mane.
Yeah.
So that's about it. But Matt, who's next?
Next artist I have, I'm not ashamed to listen to this artist either, but it's just the majority of what I listen to is rap. It's kind of like a weird one to throw in there, and a lot of my friends like hate on him, but Alec Benjamin.
Oh, I like Alec Benjamin.
Alec Benjamin's dope, and he's recently kind of been blowing up with his like over the last like year or so.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy how fast he blew up from being absolutely nobody to being like huge to a certain demographic of fan base.
Like when I saw him in concert, he opened for John Bellion. He literally came up and like handed me a card of his music before he even performed. I thought he was just a random person. I took the card and like I wish I kept it and at the time I was like, what is this dude doing? Like there's no way his music's any good. And then he performed and I'm like, all right, it's cool. And I followed him and then like eventually started listening to his music, and then now he's like one of my favorite artists, and I'm like, I literally met him and like literally wrote him off as like one of those like people in Seattle that hand you mixtapes
Yeah.
that suck.
Well, I remember when I saw him at the John Bellion were we at the same concert or different shows?
I think it was a different one because I
Okay.
went to the second tour.
Okay.
I think you were at the first.
Yeah, so I went to the first, and he literally went up on. I might have told this story before, but he was the opener, and he came out on stage, like, you know, people are still walking into this venue. It's like pretty early in the night or whatever. He comes out there, he introduces himself, and he puts out like a sign, and it's like a hand drawn with Sharpie on like a big piece of construction paper. It says Alec Benjamin, like he hand wrote, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Alec Benjamin. I didn't have any cool stuff, so I went to like Walmart and I bought this paper and wrote the sign for my name so you guys can
That's
remember it."
so funny.
And he was like, and he was so unknown at the time that he said something like, "If you guys follow me, I'll follow you back."
Yeah,
on
he
Instagram.
followed back a few of my friends. I don't know if he's still following them, but like that.
Yeah.
I remember not following him because I'm like, for some reason, I just like, he gave me like bad vibes when I met him. But now he's like literally one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, and he
I missed out.
and it was crazy because he came out on stage and he was just made it very clear how grateful he was to be there, and how literally the night before, I guess John Bellion like didn't have an opener or something.
Yeah.
And he said, "Last night John called me and asked if I wanted to open for him in Seattle, and I just flew out here like
That's so
today."
funny. But that's dope. That's
Yeah.
like what a true artist does. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I recommend Alec Benjamin. I think he's great. So
Mhm.
check him out. But anyways, we're gonna hop into the last segment here before it gets too late. Matt, what is your underground drop of the week?
Ooh, so my underground drop this week, I think it literally came out last night when we were recording this, but it's called The World is Scary by Isaiah Ziv. He's a really dope artist I've been following for a few years. It's like a 4-song little EP. I really like the last song called Angeline. It's super dope. I'd check it out. But he's kind of like a more like emo hip hop artist, not like emo like Lil Peep, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got a really cool vibe. But I actually had him featured on my last album I dropped. For around Christmas time last year, and it was really cool. Like, cause he's one of my favorite artists. Like getting him on a song, but I don't know. He's just a really talented like underground artist. I think people need to check out.
Yeah. What's your song with him called? When It Gets Dark?
Yeah, When It Gets Dark. It's like my top song on Spotify.
Yeah, it's got like 25,000 plays.
Yeah, this is the
Pretty
first
cool.
time I've gotten that big.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's Isaiah.
I think it's Isaiah. I'm not
Isaiah.
100% sure.
Okay.
It's not his actual name, but he
Okay.
changed it a few years back. He's like an artist I had like heard of for a really long time because I think I first found him. He was featured on this one artist's album. His name is The Black Knight, but and he used to go by a different name, and I think he was like 13 or something like that when I first heard him.
Wow.
And then he's just been making music ever since then. But yeah.
Yeah, he's super talented. I've listened to his stuff because of Matt, and I recommend it. And he's just like, he has the persona and like vibe that I feel like artists need, like the certain sort
to
of
like
confidence.
set him apart. Yeah, and the confidence. But and he's got a lot of like really dope, like meaningful music. I'll definitely check him out. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like artists when they're starting, like it's hard for a lot of people to kind of find their, not
Their
even just their
lane.
voice, but their like persona.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need something to set yourself apart, and he's done a great job of that. Whereas I think other artists don't know like who they're trying to be. in
Exactly.
music.
And like when I first found him, he didn't sound at all like how he sounds now. But yeah, he totally has like found his lane, and I think it's super dope because he's kind of like fits in that like emo rap category without being like exactly like everyone else. Like he's got his own unique style, and it's not like corny emo rap. Like a lot of I don't listen to a ton of emo rap, but
Like, what do you consider?
Well,
like, I
you know
know
how,
Lil
like-
Peep, but I don't know really anyone else.
you know,
like
he
that.
doesn't sing with like that, you know, like the emo singing voice I'm kind of thinking of, but
Okay, yeah.
he doesn't like sing with that. And I think he also like has the ability to like rap when he wants to on songs, which is dope. But I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like super similar to like Juice, but I know Juice is like one of his inspirations.
Okay.
But yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, guys, definitely check him out. Isaiah, and then it's Ziv, Z-I-V.
Yeah, Z-I-V.
Cool. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. thank you all so much for listening. I want to remind you guys, we have a second podcast that's filmed in the studio. It's a part of the For Our Productions family called Peak to Middle School.
Viral on TikTok.
Yeah, we went viral on TikTok yesterday. So if you guys want like another show, it's hosted by me and my buddy Kyle, but Matt is featured on some episodes here and there. It's a comedy show. It's grown a lot recently, so I'd recommend you guys check it out. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go check out our YouTube version of the show because we have full video versions every single week. And with all that being said, Matt, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @TheMattMogg. That's MattMoggg. And you can check me out on Spotify and Apple Music at Matt Mogg.
Yep. You guys can follow me at Hey Narwhal on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Be sure to follow our show. We post, highlights of different episodes. So if maybe you listen to this and you're not sure if you want to listen to episode 4 or 3 or 2, you can go there, see some of like the highlights, and then it lets you know if you want to watch it all. But with that being said, thank you all so much. Leave a review of our show.
Yes,
and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.